Hey everyone, how you doing today? Jonathan and I are going to take on a topic we have never talked before. So, Jonathan, how you doing? You ready for this?
Oh my God, I'm so ready for this.
All
Uh,
right. So, folks, I don't know if you've seen this in the news, but Bitcoin has been on a tear lately. It broke through 20,000 yesterday, 23,000 today. Yes, 24 hours. And something I've been seeing on Jonathan's page is, hey, would you take, for example, 11 ounces of gold or piece or a single Bitcoin? All these different conversations going on. So I knew I wanted to talk to Jonathan and get his feel about Bitcoin. So I'll turn it over to you and see what you have.
yeah, so I'm gonna just make ask a question for people to think about. And I'd love for them to answer in the comments.
Yes. Okay.
But let's say that you had a house worth $230,000.
Okay.
Would you trade that house for 10 Bitcoins if you could not cash out the Bitcoins for 12 months?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
All right,
because
folks.
because
So hit pause button. Again, the
yeah,
question is going to be, would you take 10 Bitcoin, just call it 23,000 each for the coin, or do you want 230 grand in cash? Again, remember, you
not
can't
in
sell the
cash.
bit. No.
Yeah, would no. If you had a house and you had to sell it,
Oh, if you had to, yeah,
yeah, if you had a house and you had to sell it, would you take
10 coins.
10 Bitcoins for that house on the condition that you
Can't sell for a
could not
year.
convert them into cash for a year?
Ooh, that's fun. I'm gonna love to see what you guys have to say. Hit pause, answer that question, and then let this will be fun one to look back on in a few days. So okay, all right, Jonathan. What about you? What would you do?
Yeah, no, I would never take that trade. So, and here's the reason. I mean, Bitcoin is a highly speculative asset, right? It is not based on really anything other than the idea that other people think it has value,
Mm,
right? Now, you could get really esoteric and say, yeah, so that applies to pretty much any asset out there. The value is always determined by what other people will pay for it. But usually, what people will pay for other assets is grounded in something, right? So it's tied back to a cash flow, or it's tied back to a use, a utility, right? A
mhm,
use value. So, for instance, uh, you know, you have a house. Worst case scenario, your tenants move out. You can move in and live in that house yourself, right?
mhm,
You can store your stamp collection in
mhm.
it. You could even put the computer that has your Bitcoin on it into the house and store it there and lock the door, and hopefully nobody can break into your Bitcoin account, right? There's lots of things you can do with the house. You could grow vegetables in the yard to feed yourself, right?
Mhm.
Uh, in the worst case scenario, the house, you know, gets burned down. You still have the land, right? So and the only time land never goes to zero, but the only time it goes to something close to zero is when everybody moves away,
Right.
right? Like in Chernobyl, right? Maybe goes to zero, right?
Mhm.
Other than that, it doesn't go to zero. It always has some value, and that's because there's always some utility to it, right?
Yeah.
Timberland, crops, whatever. The same thing with companies, right? Companies can go to zero, but usually they don't really go to complete zero because there's always a liquidation value
Right.
attached to them,
Mhm.
right? And usually, they're also the values of stocks are tied somehow to cash flow. Bitcoin, however, is just made up. And what I find really funny about Bitcoin is that people say, oh, this is better than fiat currency because fiat currency is just made up. Well, one is made up by the government, the other is made up by we don't even know who. And uh, and at least with your dollars, the U.S. government is standing behind it, right? And you can trade this for other stuff, but Bitcoin, like, who knows? So I've been having a big fight in my Facebook group with the Bitcoin advocates who usually come out and say, oh well, it's the asset of the future, or all the millennials like it,
Yeah.
or some other like nonsensical reason as to why. And it's not that they never say it's a store of value. They always say it's going up, it's going to go up more. Look how much it's gone up so far,
Ah.
it's going to go up more. And so they're clearly kind of mixing up what Bitcoin is all about.
Yeah.
uh, it's not a store of value because it's so volatile. And that's why I posed the question of, like, would you trade that house
Yep.
for Bitcoin if you had to hold the Bitcoin for 12 months. I think if people think like, oh yeah, well, next week it might be higher, so I'll sell it and get out. You're going to have to write, if you really believe Bitcoin is a store of value, then you'd take that trade
Every time.
because you'd say in 12 months time, those Bitcoins are still going to be worth $230,000. So yeah, I'm happy. But I think most people wouldn't take that trade because they know the history of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of evidence that the last time Bitcoin went to 20, it was because of a lot of manipulation of Bitcoin. Because apparently 94% of Bitcoin is held by a handful of people who are also unknown. We don't know if they're like, radical libertarian techies, or if it's the Russian mafia, or like, we have no idea who those people are.
Right.
So, but there's a lot of evidence that that they regularly manipulate the price by buying a bunch of Bitcoin in a very thin market, which causes the price to go up very fast, it's basically a big pump and dump scheme. Draws in a bunch of people who see the price going up and want to get in, and then they're left holding the bag while the Russian mafia or whoever it is, pockets the cash, right? Remember the cash, not the Bitcoins, because they're selling the Bitcoins, right? So
Bitcoin is a very interesting thing because first and foremost, I have a friend who is a crypto maniac. I don't know what the exact number is, but I would guess half his net worth, which is a huge number, is in crypto. So he first brought it to my attention in whatever it was, 2017, that first run to 20,000. And when he sat on my couch, he was literally vibrating. And he's telling me to get in and all of this. And I remember him telling me, and I just didn't get it. He left. I looked at Olivia going, that's tulip mania right there if I've ever seen it, right?
Yep.
But I actually bought Bitcoin about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, because I'm starting to see it change. For me, I always want to have an insurance policy when I think real estate gets stretched, right? Last time this happened, it was gold and silver, right? I bought it and then I sold some during the crash when it went up, and I bought houses with the cash. This time I'm looking at the crypto very differently. When I started buying it, or I bought some coins, it was Wall Street or hedge funds or Druckenmiller or Paul Tudor Jones or all of these people going, you know what? Maybe there's something there. So what I am doing now is I'm putting 1%. It's purely an insurance policy. It's oh my God, the world exploded. I needed something. So that's what I'm using it for. Not a speculation. I'm going to hold for, up to 10 years, which I would have done for gold and silver last time. But yeah, that's how I'm seeing it. But I do see it very differently, but it's changing. Like today, when it goes from 20 to 23, the fear of missing out crowd is coming. And that makes me extremely nervous.
I don't disagree with your approach to this, by the way. So when I'm railing against Bitcoin, I'm not saying to people, don't invest a penny in Bitcoin. I think everybody should have some small portion of their assets dedicated to something speculative that could be a home run, right? The problem is people pouring and we saw this last time, with people pouring in enormous amounts of their wealth into Bitcoin at 20, and then it immediately went to 9 or 6 or whatever it went to, right? So that's the danger. And the other danger is thinking that because it has gone up $3,000 today, it's going to go up $3,000 tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. That is the mark of a speculative asset, right? The wild fluctuation. No real assets go up and down in price that fast. Gold doesn't, real estate doesn't, stocks don't. They don't go up by 15% in a single day, right? So
after going up 7 or 8% yesterday.
Right. That is usually, if that were happening in the stock market, all the most bullish of bullish people would be saying, holy shit, something is going on. We better watch out for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally agree.
So, but because it's Bitcoin and people have convinced themselves that it's something unique and special, that where the laws of economics and the laws, of everything else don't apply. This is dangerous. So I'm not saying don't invest in it. I would never say don't invest in anything, but I would say, A, don't put a big amount of your net worth into it, and B, don't make the mistake of thinking that because it's gone up so much in the last couple months,
It'll go
that
up
is
again,
going
yeah.
to continue.
Yeah.
So
Well, very good. I know we both have 11:30 call, so I will call it here. I appreciate you. We'll talk next week, and maybe Bitcoin will be 30,000 or maybe it'll be 15. Who knows?
yeah, who knows? We'll find out.
There you go. Thanks, brother. Take care of
Uh,
yourself.
yep, you too. Bye-bye.